We have a choice of several islands. Oh my goodness.
They are starting
Wow.
soon.
God, look at this.
Well, hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you might be. Uh, Welcome to our webinar around getting the seeds you need to cross to the Diamond Way. And my name is Sarah, but I'm here to introduce Tim Lowenhaupt, the Executive Director of ACI Five Houses, who's going to share with you some important and exciting updates about some of our upcoming events. So thank you all for being here. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Tim.
Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to see all of you here. And there's so much interest in what I'm going to say today. Before we start, I'd like to say that any questions that you have, mostly I don't have the answers for. And I say this in a very strategic way and also in a very important way because we know what's happening is that the organization is undergoing a major shift, and the information that we have is the information that is being currently developed by Geshe Michael, the founder of the organizations. And bit by bit, we're beginning to understand something. And my hope is I can communicate to you as best as I can what we understand so far. And a lot of that's going to be what are some of the steps that you can take today to prepare yourself for the October transmission. And then from there, more and more is going to be revealed, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how all of this impacts the upcoming event in Malaysia, because it seems to me, and this is a seem to me question, is that we're going to get started with something completely brand new in July. That's not what we've really ever seen before at Five Houses. And it feels to me like there's going to be a departure in content in the sense of the way that we're communicating the teachings. The teachings don't change, of course, right? The foundations of the philosophy and the understanding of emptiness doesn't change. But it seems to me that there's a new way that's going to be communicated. All of these ideas are going to be communicated in a way to reach more people, in a way to reach. I mean, it's amazing we have 365 people here today. But how many people, like if we really look at what our goal is, like how many people shall we reach? Right? And over the last 5, 6 years in Five Houses, we've greatly expanded our reach. Many, many teachers are active around the world, teaching in many, many languages, under the Five Houses banner, under their own banners. but teaching the foundational courses, teaching the foundational ideas, and reaching hundreds and hundreds of people. And we can move that into thousands and thousands of people. We have about 20 to 25,000 people who have come through our doors in the last couple of years, unique people. And when we think about where Asian Classics Institute was, say, 10 years ago, when I started when I was offered the position to be the director of the organization, we had 80 people coming to Diamond Mountain. We didn't have anything online, and from there, we've built and have expanded to, we have 3,000 people coming to our events online. And that's worthy of celebration. I really think it is. And I believe that there's a possibility that I've been shown that we could increase those numbers incredibly higher. And so what seems to be happening is that there's some kind of shift in the presentation, especially in what's going to be coming up in the Diamond Way presentation. And I honestly don't know what it is. I had had 2 meetings over the last week and a half, where the first meeting is what you're going to see from that. The result of that meeting in a few minutes is a video from Geshe Michael, where we met and we recorded. It's about 20 minutes, where he explains how some of his thinking around this, and how is that going to relate to our October moment, right? Because this is what everyone's interested in. Like, okay, we've been preparing this. We've been doing this for a year and a half. I'm getting questions every day. Tim, like, what's happening in October? Do I need to buy a plane ticket? How do I register? I want to come. And yes, I want all of you to come. But Dragon's Head is only so big, right? There's only so much space. And Geshe Michael explains all of that in the video. Personally, I'm very, very excited. I'm extremely excited to be undergoing this type of transformation. And I remember this happening. This happened when I first appeared. That sounds really weird. I just manifested. When I showed up in 2010 and 2009 to one of my first teachings, which was a DCI teaching, I was kind of like, what is this? What is this thing? I don't know what this thing is, but it seems really interesting to me. I was intrigued by the ideas. I was intrigued by the presentation. And then that was the hook that brought me in. And then I learned very quickly later that it was all brand new. I had no idea. But the language and presentation was so different than anything else that Geshe Michael had done prior to that moment. And it was, and as I was talking to some of the people who had been around for quite a while, they were like, this doesn't sound like anything we did before. And, there was a lot of like, oh no, what do we do? And, do we change? Do we stay the same? But what we have seen is that shift in language now reaches over 100,000 people a year or more. And what has happened is, though, the people who have studied in that new the DCI way, have become incredible life practitioners of these ideas, right? And I believe that that's what he's going to be doing for the Diamond Way as well. Shifting the presentation. Same ideas, same depth, same possibilities of realization and full, total, I don't even think he's going to use the word anymore, but complete and total perfection, but in a completely new way. And I think it's very, very exciting. And so I don't want to spend too much time introducing. I want to give you the opportunity to hear it directly, right? And so that's what we're going to do first here. Interpreters, I believe, I'm going to look at you. I believe you received the script in translation, correct? Yes. Okay, good. So they will not have to translate live. I mean, they're translating, but they're not watching for the first time. Okay. All right. So I had a system malfunction this morning. I'm going to see if it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, then I'm going to ask my backup to help me out here. All right. So hold on just 1 second while I make a few switches here. I've been asked to switch my name here. I'm no longer Tim. I'm going to be Geshe Michael Roach. My screen will be, not me personally. All right. I'm going to need the backup, Marina.
Nobody sent me video. I don't know. Please send me.
I'm on it. One
Or
second.
Francisco. Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Geshe Michael Roach, and I wanted to tell you about an upcoming event. About 3-4 months ago, I finished a translation I've been working on. It's called Illumination of the True Thought, Gombarabsa. And it was written about 600 years ago by Tsongkhapa. And it explains a famous book by Master Chandrakirti called Entering the Middle Way, which was written maybe 14 centuries ago. And that book explains Nagarjuna's great book on wisdom called Wisdom, on emptiness called Wisdom. And I believe that this book by Tsongkhapa is probably the greatest technical explanation of emptiness ever written. And it took me about 15 years of my life to finish, and I finished. Then when I finish a new book, I have to do a introduction to it or a preface to it. And I was wondering what to write in the preface. And then I felt in my heart that although Tsongkhapa covers all the technical information about emptiness, he doesn't talk about the actual experience of touching the diamond directly, touching emptiness directly, seeing it directly. And I thought it would be interesting to, not just interesting, I thought it'd be very valuable if together with that very deep, long explanation of emptiness. You had an introduction to the book from a person who touched emptiness directly. And just to give you kind of a personal feeling of what it feels like and how to get ready for it, how to make it happen, all the details of what happens to you on that day, what happens to you in the years before that, and what happens to you in the years after that from a personal point of view. And then I'm almost done with that essay. And then I was thinking that teaching those details to people is a real transmission. And lately, people have been asking me, and I've agreed to give a transmission of the Diamond Way teachings that I've received in my life. And people ask me for an empowerment. I don't know if I like the word empowerment so much, but I do like the word transmission. And because I do have an experience when I touched emptiness directly, and many other experiences that I can share with you, personal experiences, real experiences, and I can explain clearly the personal details of my life that made those things happen. And I think that's a real transmission. I have walked on 1 billion planets. I know what it feels like. I don't know anyone else in the world who has done that. If they have, I haven't met them. So I'd like to somehow transmit that and give that blessing. And I would think it's a Diamond Way empowerment of a kind that I would rather call it a transmission. So I agreed, and I'm very excited about giving a Diamond Way transmission of the Diamond Way as I've experienced it and as I understand it. And also, obviously, from the great books of which I have translated, I don't know, maybe 10,000 pages of Diamond Way materials. So I'd like to do a transmission. We chose dates for that, October 7th to the 11th. So where we'd like to do this transmission ceremony is close to my house. As you know, we have purchased a piece of property called Dragon's Head. And it was called that long before we purchased it because the river there is in the shape of a dragon. And by very good luck, a building was built there a long time ago. A beautiful, beautiful building was built by an artist. One whole side of the building is glass, and it fits about 130 people. I think for me, to give a direct transmission, 130 people live or in person in the same town is good for me. I live in a small town. If 1,000 people showed up or 2,000 people showed up, it would just be a lot of trouble for me and for everybody. I live in a very conservative town. Nobody in the town really knows who's Geshe Michael, and I like that. And I live there quietly with my wife, Veronica, and myself. So we have 130 spaces there. Obviously, I think over 1,000, maybe almost 2,000 people are prepared. They have done the preparation I asked for to have this transmission, to get this blessing, and to practice the Diamond Way. And there's no way that I can fit 1,000 or 2,000. But so what we're going to do is have branch locations of the 5 houses, organized by 5 houses all over the world. And I would like to make it possible for people, for groups of 5 house students all over the world to go to a local center in their country, someplace in their country, a branch location for this transmission. And I would like the transmission to be live. I'd like to grant the transmission live. So we'll figure out the hours of the day. We'll figure out a time that works for everybody. And we will have groups in many countries. Whoever's interested, whoever would like to have this transmission, given my age, and my health, I don't know if I can do it again. So I think it would be valuable to try to make it easy for as many people as possible who want to have the transmission, that 5 houses, we will organize a group event, a branch location, somewhere where it's easy for you and your friends to get to. I don't know what's the minimum size, 5 people, 10 people. Maximum size, I don't know, 500 or something, 1,000, I don't know. But I don't really care about the size. I just want to make sure that every person who would like to receive the transmission can receive it. I wouldn't feel comfortable to do the transmission to your home online or something like that. There will be training for the people to help with the transmission in each group around the world. And there will have to be many different things prepared for the people taking the transmission. So we really have to get organized. We have to have groups all over the world. And we have to make it possible for you to come to a transmission center, as close to your home as possible. I do understand and I appreciate that there may be people. We were talking today about people who have cancer. They're in the hospital. They would like to have the transmission, and we're happy to organize special things like that for sick people very sick or things like that. But mostly, I would request that you come to a local branch location, and those people will have training to arrange the things that are necessary for you to get the transmission. And I'd like to make it clear, I would like to give this transmission personally from myself, and it's because of experiences I've had in my life that I don't believe other people have had. And that's why I call it a transmission. I would like to transmit to you the power of those experiences. So it's a private thing between you and me. I would like to give a transmission. And I sincerely believe that it might be the most important thing you ever did in your life. We're going to have a request for transmission, a form that you can fill out online at the 5 Houses website. So you'll have to get onto the 5 Houses website and fill out this request for a transmission, so that we know you're coming and we know your details, and that we know that you have done the preparation. You've gone through the required courses that we talked about. If you're not sure what the preparation is, if you're not sure you have finished it, please contact 5 Houses as early as you can to make sure that you don't get left out because you didn't do the preparation. By June 15th, you should have filled out the form on the 5 Houses website if you would like to attend this transmission. There's going to be a lot of strong feelings about, did I get into the small group that is taking the transmission in person in Arizona from Geshe-la at Dragon's Head? I ask you, as a student of Buddhism, please be kind and please be patient And please understand that it's going to be very difficult to choose the few people who come in person while I'm there. And my own personal feeling is I would like to see the people there who I think would represent many countries. I would like to have representatives from different areas of the world, different countries of the world. And obviously those people who have shown that they can share teachings in a pure way, in a happy way. So, it'll be up to me in the end to decide the few people who come to Dragon's Head. But I ask you to be patient and to understand that this old man is going to do his best. And just please be happy that we can even have a transmission, and that you could attend even in a branch location. So please don't be disappointed. I can't help my limitations of my human body and where I live. Okay. If you'd like to host a branch location, if you'd like to be the person, one of the people who organizes how people will get together to have the live transmission together, then please check the Five Houses website, and there'll be a special forum there where you can say, look, I'm good at this sort of thing. I can get together a hotel, or I can get together a branch location, and I'm willing to do the work as a volunteer, and I'd be happy to help like that. So we will need organized people like that. Again, I want to emphasize that the transmission will only be from myself. In this case, in this particular transmission, I have something to transmit that nobody else has in this world, and that's what I would like to transmit while I'm still here. In closing, I'd just like to add that I've thought about this transmission for years now, and I feel that this is the best way that I can give a transmission to a lot of people. If you're sitting in Malaysia or you're sitting in Turkey, and you're at one of the satellite locations, the branch locations, and Geshe-la is giving you, by the way, the transmission will be live, over the internet to your group. Do you get the same blessing? Is it the same blessing? And I would say it certainly is. If I am who I say I am, then it's not a problem to give a blessing to thousands of people around the world in different places. It's not a question of how far away you are. It's a question of my intention and your intention. So it will be the complete blessing. And I believe it will change you forever. Many of my students and friends have come to me and said, about 20 years ago, you taught Diamond Way courses in the United States, and you encouraged your students to pass them on to other people. And some of your students actually did what you asked, and they have been passing them on. And if I'm one of their students and I'm taking these Diamond Way courses from another person, is it okay if I go ahead with that, or does this replace that? And I want to make it clear that they're completely different things. And what Diamond Way courses I wrote and translated 20 years ago that are being passed on by my students, if you're in one of those groups, if the teacher is following the guidelines I set forth, and if they're following those teachings correctly, checking in with me, following the courses as they were intended, then I'm very happy if you just continue those courses and continue going through them. And they are very valuable, very precious. And I believe they will give you great goals. The transmission I'm offering is a personal transmission. And it's a completely different power. It's a different lineage that's coming directly from a person who has experienced emptiness directly and who has walked on a billion planets. It's a different transmission. So I think both are valuable. And I encourage you to go ahead and continue with whatever courses you're taking in any authentic Buddhism courses that you're taking. I encourage you to continue them. They can only help you. And this transmission, I would say, is unique in the world and it's completely different. And I'll be giving you practices and classes, but they don't conflict with any of the teachings I've given before. What will happen after the transmission? I do have a plan of a course of, you can say study, but really it will be a new course of study and personal practice that I would like to share with you in the years after this transmission. So there will be special programs going on throughout the year for years after this transmission. In my opinion, they should be frequent enough to have a steady stream of practice, but they shouldn't be so frequent that it interrupts your personal life or your family life or the studies that you are doing now with your own teachers around the world. So it'll be a balance between those two. But I will continue with a special course of teachings and personal practice after that. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. So there you have it, folks. There's going to be lots of questions, as you probably already have imagined. And, what we're going to have here, first of all, like, this video is available for you to rewatch. And I invite you to rewatch this as many times as you can. Like, there's the layers of this video there's many, many teachings in it, and we have that video up on YouTube right now with subtitles in all the languages. So you can go to that, you can watch it, and then when you select, it took me a while to figure it out, but you just select, turn on the captions, and then select your language, and you can watch the subtitles of him discussing all of these ideas and what's going to happen next. So what's going to happen next? In just a few moments, I saw people who were not just watching the video, but commenting in the chat, asking questions about links and things. And so there will be a QR code in just a second. Don't put it up yet, please. I want to kind of keep people's focus for now. I put the link in the chat that you can grab in a second. But on that webpage, you'll find more information. You'll find the the link to this video, and then you will also find the link for the request for transmission. And it's an extensive request that you are making directly to Geshe Michael. Okay. And in that request, there's several questions to answer, and answer them honestly, answer them directly from your heart. And once they're done and they are due, what date are they due? Does everyone remember? It flashed on the screen, June 15th. Okay. You have 15 days to fill out that form. And then subsequently, we will be taking all of those requests and we will be giving them to Geshe Michael. Okay. And so, and then after that is when he will be making decisions on attendees at Dragon's Head. And there's no guarantee, including myself. Okay. I want to put myself in that category, that who he is going to invite, and I think there's a beauty in what he said. And every time I listen to it, I feel more and more inspired and more relaxed and more connected with us internationally. When he says, if you see me as the person that you think I am, or so, I can't remember exactly how he said it, right? But if you believe me to be the person I am, I think those are the words he used, then it doesn't matter whether you're 2 feet from him or whether you're across the world. If I say who I am, thank you, Christina. If I am who I say I am, right? And the beauty of the transmission is that we're going to do it together, all of us together. And if he comes to me and says, Tim, great job running 5 houses, I want you to go over there. I want you to go to one of those branch events. I'll probably have the same reaction that everyone else would have. And I'll be like, yes, Lama, I will go do that, and that's how we're going to have a way of connecting with each other, and there's the power that we have to do so now is completely different than even 10 years ago. Oh, oops. I just was asked to, excuse me. I have returned to being Tim. I apologize if you thought I was Geshe Michael. My name is now proper. Thank you. So we're going to be, so on that transmission request form, there's also at the end of it and also on the website, if you feel inspired to host a branch location, fill that out, send that to us, because we're going to be needing to host all around the world. And this could come down to maybe there's 10 people in St. Petersburg, 5 people in St. Petersburg who want to get together. Maybe there's, maybe, I don't know, some people in New York who want to get together. I see Hector's mind rolling. And after we get all of those requests and put them together, and then we get approval of all of those, then we're going to start going through the preparation process. Like all the things you're going to need, all the choreography, all the steps, and there'll be training for all of that. And so then we will be doing it together. And as you heard, he said, this is a transmission from him. So the branch locations, you don't have to have teachers there. You don't have to have other experienced people. The idea is that as a community, all of us as a community, we're going to be at the same place in that moment. And we'll be doing it entirely together. And so for me, every time I think about it, I get more and more inspired. I'm inspired that we have 500 people here listening today. We'll have this recording, Geshe Michael's recording, and this webinar will also be available to rewatch it as well.
Ничего страшного, да. Паладин, спасибо.
Not sure why I got muted. So, and I understand, and it's really been on my mind, and it's really been something that's been weighing heavy on me, is that we only have 130 seats at Dragon's Head. And it's been like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And this has really become probably the most complicated, organized extravaganza that we've ever done in this organization. And I'm imagining every country having groups of people, right? And so what we'll do is, after we put this all together, we have all the requests for transmission, we have all the requests for branch locations, we will then put that all up on the website. Say, these are all the places you can go. And the idea is that maybe you'll want to go to a larger event. Maybe there's someone here who wants to organize something quite, extensive. Or maybe you want to just bring 5 people together. But, the idea is that we do it together, and it's not something that we do independently on our own, just watching on Zoom. So, it's not that you get to sit in your home. You have to go somewhere with other people at an officially recognized branch location. All right. And there's something important about doing that together as a group. Wow. You guys are like pushing lots of buttons. Like, all right. I need to turn off these previews here. Okay. So the steps are: 1, go to that request for transmission form, which is again in the chat. And then we'll put up a QR code in a few minutes. Go to that, read that, fill that out by June 15th. By June 15th. By June 15th. He said it. The funny thing is, I wanted the deadline to be June 10th. And then we had decided, okay, yeah, it's June 10th. And then when he recorded the video, he said it 3 times on June 15th. And I said, well, I guess that's what we're going to do. We're going to do what the teacher wants us to do. And then he said, it's on the 5 Houses website. And I'm like, we don't really have a website. So instead of just doing what we normally do, we said, all right, fine, let's put it on the 5 Houses website. We moved the URL, we did all that stuff, we put it up, and we're just moving forward, and things are being discovered every day for us. So we're moving at the speed of Geshe Michael, and we're moving at the speed of the information that's coming out. So for those of you that haven't heard, brand new, I see some questions here. How do you prepare? And we've been doing the preparation for the last 5 courses with ACI 5 Houses. What if you're not done yet with all the homeworks? Because I know a lot of you have not done them, because I see the registration forms. I see all the registrar forms. Can I request transmission without having done all the work? The answer is, of course, yes. Right. But by October, to be let in the door, and all the branch location organizers will be pendant, paying attention to this, that all 6 of those courses and all of their homeworks will have to be done. And we're going to make it easy for you. we'll have a cheat sheet, meaning here's just the classes you need to watch. Here's the homeworks you need to do. You can do them together. Don't worry, they're not hard. They don't take very long. And if you're brand new and you just showed up, you got a little bit to catch up on, but it's entirely possible. We're offering catch-up courses from now until October. Even in Malaysia, we'll be offering catch-up courses. So don't worry, but he's very adamant about us going through his preparation. All right. And then following June 15th, shortly thereafter, everyone who has applied will receive a response. And from there, you can start making plans. Okay. And if you have a feeling that we've talked to some people about this already preliminarily, and there's some people that just got so excited about the idea of hosting an event, and thinking about the tremendous seeds one is collecting to host an event where people as a community will come together and become a family, entering into a whole new track. He said the word lineage, which is a curious word, right? Of teachings, and the power behind doing something like that. I can say, I've worked on several of these transmissions. Like I was an assistant 15 years ago, 12 years, 14 years. Make sure I'm not lying here. 13 years ago. And, just being the person who gophered and ran and got food and then bought the extra little things that were needed and then sat outside while all the kids, everyone else was inside. The seeds that get planted in those moments are extraordinary to be that close. And so organizing an event is something that is incredibly virtuous, if not extraordinarily off the charts virtuous. Okay. So start, wrapping your mind around this. Think about like, what does this could look like? And then if you're called to it, like you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Like no one's forcing you to do something either. Right. But if you feel called and you say, yes, I want to make this step right now, there's the form again. June 15th is the due date. Please share this with everybody. I know what's going to happen. People will submit afterwards and we will probably accept them. But please, please, if this is important to you, don't wait until June 16th to do it. That's all I'm going to say. So how does this all relate, to get, we don't have much more answers than that. All right. We don't know how the content's going to be taught. We don't know how it's going to look in the future, but we do know that October is that moment where he will be offering something that he's never offered before. And so coming up in Malaysia, so this is the second part. And this is how I know it's going to be powerful. On Sunday night, I had a meeting with him to discuss the final details, the final little approvals that are needed for our Malaysia event. And as the meeting was going on, I was beginning to get the sense that this was not going to be the meeting that I thought it was going to be. And by 15 minutes into the meeting, the entire plan for Malaysia, all that content, Sarah's laughing, all the planned extra content for the additional classes, the support, the online classes, all the cool things that Five Houses is offering that, by the way, had already been approved by the teacher, Geshe Michael, was a blank piece of, I basically just deleted everything on my document and just wiped it out. And I'm sitting there like, if you've ever had your teacher do that to you, you know what it feels like, and then thinking downstream what the impact of all of that is just from a logistics point of view. And I breathe through it pretty well, but it's now a blank screen. And he kept saying over and over again, nobody knows what I'm going to teach. Nobody can teach what I am going to teach. And so we don't have a list of teachers to invite. We're 5 weeks out, we don't know. So if you are a teacher and normally you do get an invite to the Five Houses event, I'm sorry, I can't invite you right now. So I suggest don't wait for us to pay for your things. Please show up. Please register. And then maybe we can do something afterwards when there's a clear decision to help out with expenses. But I really think there's a teaching in all of this, is that if he's doing something entirely new, we're all learners again. Those of us who have been teaching for many, many years, maybe it's a lesson in humility. Maybe it's a lesson. This is how I feel. I don't know how you feel. I'm just telling you how I feel. Maybe it's a lesson in my own pride or my own ego, or like, let's go back to being, going back to that magic of not knowing what's going to be said, what's going to show up. And, I remember those early years and how that felt. And I'm starting to feel like that again, 16, 17 years later, like it feels that way again. And so Malaysia currently is a blank piece of paper, sort of. He himself is going to begin teaching direct practices on the 16 aspects of the 4 Arya truths directly from his experience. And if you're part of the Goodnight Book Club, which you should be part of the Goodnight Book Club, I have 2 books on my nightstand. One when I'm have insomnia, and one when I'm not quite tired yet, that I can understand. The insomnia one's great for the middle of the night, because I don't understand anything, and then I go to sleep immediately. But if you've been part of the Goodnight Book Club, he has been outlining his descriptions of those 16 aspects, the 16 realizations that one has prior to and after seeing emptiness directly, from his direct experience. And he did an extensive research of all the literature and all the ancient texts on them as well, and has provided personal advices and personal notes and personal experience. And his goal is to, frankly, this is what he has said, is directly, is to help us plant the seeds for each of those 16 moments, each of those 16 realizations that you will have, that you will have when you experience it, when you open that up. And so he's going to begin teaching that. He's going to be teaching a course on beginning and practices to plant those seeds yourself. That's one paragraph of what will be taught in Malaysia. The rest is going to be built around it, and we will learn as we go along. So if you would like the opportunity to be there, I'm going to need the banner now for Malaysia. Thank you. If you would like the opportunity to be there in person, we still have many seats left. We have about 100 to 200 seats left. It is an event that will have approximately 700 to 900 people. It's an extraordinary gathering of people in Malaysia. So if you can come make it and make it, in person to have that connection with the community, please come, to have that direct teaching. This is why I feel like he's made a transition and he's going to start something entirely new already. Right. And so that's what I was saying in the beginning, is that this is something entirely new and he's starting now. And of course, if you can't make it on in person, we also have an online where everything will be streamed. Again, we had a whole content plan for the additional offerings we have for the online audience. Again, those have been blank slated. We don't know yet. We will have something. Don't worry. This is the fun part of it. Like, there will be content, there will be teachings. We just don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. So that's what's coming up. And that's the 6th and final preparation course for the October transmission. All right, please remove the banner. So finally, I'm honored to be in I get to be in this seat today, and I get to be the person that communicates. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been feeling the changes that are kind of coming in the organization. And even I was talking to the staff members over the last couple of days, and we're feeling very reinvigorated and excited and also calm. Like, I think we were very worried about this moment because we knew the reality. We knew what was coming, but at the same time, we knew there was the Pung Sumba, the third way. There's always the third way. And as Geshe-la asked us, was that, we all will have unique seats for transmission, whether you're here or there across the world. He said it's a unique thing between you and him. And where you are in the world is unique for you. And if he is someone who has traveled to those billion planets, distance is not a question for him. Right. And just think about this as he said, and it's so beautiful to be like, it's you and him. It's not anybody else. Right. And what's in your heart and what's in your intention and what you feel like, what you could do with incredible transformation. And just speaking from my own experience, limited is, that there are some cool things that begin to happen when you make that commitment. When you make that commitment for total transformation, and you better be ready for it, because it is a transformation. And it's extraordinarily beautiful. And the intention that we have is really of service and care for the world, to end the things that bring us pain, that bring others pain. And I've seen firsthand how it can make those transformations. And so if you're called to that and you have that intention in your heart and you have that intention with Geshe Michael, it's between you and him. So now you can put up the banner, please, with the QR code to the website. You know, this is, you know, this is the next step for you. So please go to the website, have a look at the request form, send that in by June 15th, by June 15th, by June 15th, please. Thank you, studio, by June 15th. Please don't wait until June 16th. It is going to take you, it is going to take a little bit when you have a look at it. Like there are some steps in it, and you may want to think and meditate on, you know, what you want to say. Like, what is your offering? What do you want to say? What do you want to ask? What do you want to tell Geshe Michael? You know, as you're requesting this from him. You know, and then following this, as I said, we'll then be sending out responses to everybody. And if you don't get the response that you want, you know, that is, you know, please, you know, try to see it in a very different way. That's how that's how I'm spending my time with it. Is there's something beautiful happening all around the world, and maybe we can change the seeds, and it could be something entirely different. I don't know, you know. Yes, the banner says a live transmission at Dragon's Head, but we should change the banner to say from Dragon's Head. Let's change the preposition for next time. Okay, banner gone. Thank you all very much for joining today. Thank you for, you know, being here to listen to this message for its worldwide release. I think we did a good job. Thank you for all the people that spent hours of time preparing for today. You know, we got the video last Friday finalized, and then, you know, translators worked really, really hard to make this ready, to get everything up for today's event. These last minute events, you know, as director, I usually don't, I just ask for it to be done and it happens. And I got involved in the logistics and the back and forth and the movement of a lot of these things. And I was like, maybe I should be a little bit easier on you guys and demand a little bit less, because there's a lot. And I was impressed, with the dedication and the extra hours people put in just to make this available for today, because we needed to get it out as quickly as possible. So thank you, everybody, for joining. I know you probably have a million questions. I have very few answers, which hopefully we gave you today. And as we get information, we will be offering more and more to you. Okay. So the real next steps are, if you feel called to receive that live transmission from Dragon's Head, okay, then, you know, please fill that out by June 15th. And then if you feel that, you know, if you can, please do come to Malaysia. You know, Malaysia is is going to be an amazing event. And really, to be able to have the transmission, you have to get the direct teachings from Malaysia anyway. So you should sign up. And as always, the online events the teachings are free, right? You have no excuse. You can just put $0. While it's very helpful for those of you that put more than $0 and help support us and make it possible that we can offer this around the world in 12 languages. And thank you, donors. Thank you, all of the sponsors. You can join for free. right? And Malaysia does have a cost because they have a venue. It's a venue for 800 people is not anything to like, what's the expression? It's not it's a lot of money. Just put it that way. So, but again, join. Like, you don't have any, like, it's free. And any support that you can, to make these events possible, we gladly welcome, but it's not necessary. And I just want to reiterate that request form is for everybody. It's not just for those who want to come to Dragon Set. I recognize, as someone pointed out, the language is slightly ambiguous. That request form is for everybody. And then following that is when we'll make the Geshe Michael will make the decisions. Okay. So thank you all for joining. This is an incredible, one of my pet peeves of AI is that it uses this word journey. Every time you type it in, like, let's get on the journey together. Join us for the journey. So happy that you're on, but it feels like a journey. This feels like we're stepping into new territory. We're making new steps and we're doing it together. And that's the most important part. We need a community of people around the world doing it together. So thank you everyone for joining. It's wonderful to see many of your faces. Many of you I haven't seen for a long time. And good luck, I guess. Take it into your meditations, take it into your intention, take it into your service of other people. That's where it is anyway. So again, thank you very much. And on your way out, please turn on your microphones and say goodbye to each other. And we'll see you soon.
Gracias.
Bye.
Adiós a
Gracias.
todos.
Thank
Love around the
Sí.
Thank you
world.
very
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.
To each other.
Wiedersehen.
Yes.
Dėkoju.
Yes.
All stay.
Cheers.
Teacher team.
Auf
Thank you
Wiedersehen.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Love you much.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
teacher
Bye.
team.
Thank you, team. Love.
Спасибо. Пока-пока.
Much. Love you so much.
Спасибо.
До свидания.
Gracias, team.
Quá team ơi, cảm ơn team.
Спасибо.
Дякую.
Danke, Tim.
Thank you.
Спасибо
большое, дорогая Эка, за волшебный перевод.
Bye, everyone. This is great. Let's get on this journey together.
Thank you,
Right.
teacher.
Gosh.
Hope to see you soon.
Right. Excellent plan. I love it.
Thank you,
Gracias,
team. Thank you
maestro.
all.
See you in Malaysia.
Bye.
Wow.
Gracias, team.
Have a great day, everyone.
Please stay, teacher team.
Благодарю.
Please stay.
Ее Малайзия.
Yay.